And good day to you all. All right, today's lesson is on the power rule slash constant multiple rule, which really means it's just a few additional examples of the power rule. Maybe you'll see like some different things here, and it's just to kind of help you out a little bit more, maybe with some different situations that you might run into. But anyway, I'm going to do these examples from the book here, so we'll just go through and see what you do, and it's really very pretty easy. So, like in this first example, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and we're going to take a derivative of this. So, in other words, what is the derivative of 2 over x? Well, the derivative of 2 over x, first, let's just rewrite it. And the problem is having this x down here in this denominator. So in order to do this problem, we can actually make it pretty easy just by rewriting it. So in other words, when I have an x in that denominator, I'm just going to rewrite as x to the negative 1. And that's the whole trick to the problem. Now you can just apply your power rule. So multiply by negative 1. So this would be negative 2 x. Now subtract 1 from negative 1. Well, that gives us negative 2. Now that's the answer. That is a derivative. So we could say that y prime is equal to negative 2x negative 2. But most math teachers are not going to like that notation. So let's clean this up a little bit and let's get a good answer here and rewrite it as negative 2 over x squared, and most of the math teachers ought to be halfway happy with that answer. So let's just keep on moving with what we're doing here. Let's go on down to this guy. And I don't even know why I put him in here. He's really not too hard at all. We don't even have any tricks to this one. All we're going to do is go directly into this and apply the power rule. So if we want to find the derivative, so f prime t, so the derivative of this function is we're going to multiply by 2 times 4/5. And I think maybe that's why they gave this example. They wanted you to pull that 4/5 like that out in front. So maybe this was a good example. So they just kind of took this 4/5 of its own as a constant. So 2 times 4/5 t, which was square, but we're going to subtract 1, so we're just left with 1. So if we clean this up a little, our derivative is 8t over 5, and there's our derivative. And of course, we could take a second derivative of that if we wanted to. Let's keep moving down. So what do you do when there's a radical? And we've already addressed this in some examples and videos, but we'll go back through and do this one. We're just going to rewrite it as 2x to the half. And now this is a very simple problem to take a derivative of. Times by half. So this is going to be 1/2 times 2 x to the, let's see, x is 1/2, and then of course we're going to subtract 1 from that and leave us with negative 1/2. And of course 1/2 times 2, well, that's gets rid of him, and so literally we're just left with a answer. Y prime would be equal to x to the negative half. Now once again, your math teacher probably isn't going to like that, so you could rewrite it as 1 over x to the half. And then, of course, your teacher may want you to go one more step, put that radical back in, and write that for a final answer. So the derivative of that function, 2 square root of x, is 1 over the square root of x. Fascinating. And I encourage you, when you're doing this, to go in and plot some of these curves just to see what they look like. It really is nice. Now, right offhand, this one looks kind of evil. And I'm going to do a little bit of rewriting on him. I'm going to rewrite him as 1 over 2 times 1 over, and I'm going to do something. See, this is x squared to the third power. I'm going to rewrite it like that, which means this is the same as 1/2 times 1 over x to the 2/3. And right now I'm stuck right back where I was in that very first example. I don't want this x. I don't want an x on the bottom. So what I do is I move it back up here. So I'm going to do the same thing on this guy. I'm going to rewrite this as 1/2 x to the negative 2 thirds power. And now all I'm going to do is do my power rule. So I'm still, all I've done so far, this function and this function are the same. All I've done is took a second, did some revision to it, and I hope you can read my writing there that that is a 2. For some reason, this little digital pen doesn't like my 2's. But anyway, so I'm going to take a derivative of this function. So I'm going to multiply -2 thirds times 1/2 x to the -2 thirds. Well, let's see. I need to, it's not going to be -2 thirds because let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to come in, I'm going to subtract 1 from -2 thirds. So I'm going to subtract 1, which is actually going to end up putting me at -5 thirds. Ooh, that's still kind of ugly looking, but we can clean this up. Let's see, 2's are canceled. So we end up with -1 third x to the -5 thirds. And chances are your teacher is not going to like that. So we'll still clean this up a little bit more. And I'm gonna go ahead and write it like this. 1 over, excuse me, don't forget that this was a negative. So -1 over x to the 5 third power, and there is my final solution to this problem. So it seemed a little bit more complicated, but it's just because we had to subtract 1 from -2 thirds, which makes it even more negative. And then the last one, I really don't know how this one ended up in here. -3 over 2 x. And since x, there's nothing there, but we're going to pretend it's a 1, so we're going to times by 1. -3 over 2 x. Wait a second, it was a 1, and now we're going to subtract 1. That's 0. That means x is gone. So the answer to this problem is nothing but, wow, I can't write anything, can I? Negative. So y prime, our derivative, is equal to -3 over 2. And I'm pretty sure this concludes this little short video. And again, it was just getting you, this video was just really making sure you had 2 things down. What do you do if you have an x on the bottom? What do you do if you had like an x or a square root of x on the bottom? What do you do if you had like a x? What do you do in each of those situations? So that was really the purpose of the video, was making sure you had that. So if you've got this, then you're going to rewrite it as x to -1. If you've got root x, you're going to rewrite that as x and -1/2. And if you had square root 3x squared, if you had that, we're just going to rewrite as x to the -2 thirds. So it's just little hints and how to deal, and then plus it was how to deal with these fractions like the 3 over 2's and 1 over 2's. And you saw that there's really nothing to that. That was actually really easy. But anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.